Big event that you can do in your life, right? You get married, that's 1. You have a baby, that's 2. You move, that's 3. You buy a car, that's 4. In order to keep stress down, you should avoid doing any combination of the 4 together. We got baby number 6. We moved. We bought 2 cars. And we bought a new house. My life has never been just normal.
Because I was like, CJ, listen to me. As much as you want this, me knocking on doors and finessing coaches, I said, CJ, that's being goofy. You know your dad. I'm not gonna go back and be goofy.
Right, there's a guy that says like, to a starving man, every man is a stepping stone. Or to a drowning man, every man is a stepping stone. You know, that was my attitude at community college. I was like, okay, I'm a freshman in.
Yeah.
I can start.
And record this too, bro.
Yeah.
And so for me, it reminded me of like CJ. I'm like trying to do this as strategic to get him to focus more and understand what he has and get him to buy in and you know how you build intrinsic motivation to a 13-year-old. Yeah. We go to AAU tryouts last month, 2 months ago, and he killed his old club that he was at. He was just like layups, rebounds, jumpers, and he just trying like he got the swag right. And I was like, man, this is trash competition, bro. You are actually not doing that good. Right. So we go to the dog AAU tryout at another club that he's on now. He ain't even in the top 10 on that on the floor of his grade level.
And that's where he says.
So he's like, you trying to sprint, gassed, right? Because he hasn't had to have to sprint in that same game, but he was playing with different dogs who was like, as soon as they score, sit in your lap. What? Where you going?
Yeah,
you try to run? Try to run this way? He was like, he hit me.
Those kids doing all those push-ups already. Like, they can grab you. Like, hold on, what?
And I was like, I'm sitting in the bleachers like, this is what he needs.
So he could sink or swim.
So then he this is the first time he don't make the A team. He's like, he's on the B squad. He's like, yeah, I made the B squad? The B squad? I said, bro, I tell you, you're not there. Right. I said, you got the best skill set, but they got a dog and a physicality that you're not on their level. So he's on the B squad. He's kind of in the stupor, but then he's the man on the B squad. So it's like, okay. But then Chibi, the young kid, last year was a scrub player on his GBL All-Star team. And Chibi is better than him. Ooh. And all of a sudden, push-ups, sprints. Because it's like, man, talk to Chibi there. I was like, man, what happened with Chibi, bro? Like, he was like, yeah, man. Remember last year, you know, when CJ was running the team and Chibi never played, he was like, man, for a whole year, he's been doing 2 days. He's like, man, he drives me crazy, man. He makes me take him to school before school. He never missed practice. He has to practice twice a day. I said, bro, you can see his body as a 13-year-old. You can see even a kid, like, what the heck did this kid do in 9 months? Like, I had to ask the dad, and then he's aggressive, and then he's attacking, and he's a dog, and he don't care, he don't get like something happens. He's like next play mentality. I'm like, dang. So Chibi, now my son, like, literally went out and hang out with the mall with him yesterday. Like, he's like, oh, I gotta stay locked in. I can't get complacent. I say, bro, you talking about you catching somebody? People catching you, you know? Because he caught a couple kids that was popular on Instagram. Yeah. And then he was like, he thought in him. What happens is it's hard to process all this with Instagram. It was subconsciously, he felt like he arrived. When he saw Chibi, he was like, I'm not even now on the A team. I'm on the B team, and the guy that was coming third, like literally playing garbage time. If the game was completely decided in the last 2 minutes, that's when Chibi played last year. Now Chibi's the starter and the main guy on the team. The next year, he was just like, oh, God's putting in work for real.
I mean, you think of Kobe. Kobe came from Italy. He was like 13, right? He talks about that story where he's there, you know, at the Drew League. And he said, I scored 0 points. The whole summer league, 0 points. This is not a lucky layup, a foul and free throw. Robert Kobe was like growing so much. It's like he had those knee pads and like, you know, and he was just 0 points. And so that's like 12, 13. And his dad kind of give him that love, right? Says like, listen, whether you scored 60 point or 0 point, I'll still love you. Sure. And he said like that was a moment that for him, he was just like unconditional love. Because his dad was like, you know, legend at Drew League, played the NBA. Like, you know, like he's that
6'9".
Right, like he's that legend. And when you come after, then now the expectations are a little bit like, well, you're gonna be like your dad, or wow, no, you trash. Or people are gonna be like, I'm a show his son that he's trash and to show that. So he has those 2 years from like 12, 13 to 14 exponential growth.
Yeah.
At 15 years old, he was the best in the country.
Right.
15. This is like just what 2-3 years that he put up the work and he became the best. So because at that age, boys develop so much,
bro.
Quickly.
I'm literally in it. My son. So that happens. This is March. He got a tournament this weekend. I missed yesterday, but we had 2 other tournaments before this one. So I said, oh, snap, we did such a recovery mode because his neck, I'm sore. He walking like an old man. He's doing the side-to-side try. I'm like, CJ, how you 13 years old and you just, bro, you old, you 85 and you out of shape, bro. Like, so I come back from the conference last night like, oh, yeah, we had 2 games. Yeah, we won both of them. CJ started the first game, hit 10 points the first quarter. So I'm like, oh, well, let's get ice. You give it. She's like, I don't need no ice. I'm in shape now, Dad. He said, I don't need none of that. I'll be ready to go in the. So we woke up this morning podcast. He's like, hey, you taking me to the gym? I said, no, Drake is. He's like, fully dressed, fully uniform, ready to go get to the gym an hour for it. And I was like, I'm doing a conference and hosting a podcast. So I'm just like, okay, I think it's happening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I think it's starting to like he's driving this thing. Because I was like, CJ, listen to me. As much as you want this and as much as I want this for you, because you're my son. I love it. I just want whatever. If you want it, go ahead, bro. I ain't gonna stop you. But it won't work unless you go get it. Me knocking on doors and finessing coaches. I said, CJ, that's being goofy. You know your dad. I'm not finna go back and be goofy. I'm not finna chase you with a camera. I'm not finna. When you're so good, you know what other people start doing? They start chasing you with cameras, bro. Yep. They start approaching your mom and daddy like, listen, man, can I just create some content for your son? When is your next son's tournament? Yeah. I'll do it for free. I was like, bro, I know what it's like to when the light turns on that you actually are the guy now. Everybody else responds. I'm saying, I'm just going to be your dad, bro. I'm not being all that other stuff. But I said, if this going to happen the way it happens, you make it happen. Right. And everybody else adjusts around you. And so this weekend was just like, I think we're headed in the right direction of making it happen. Because he's adamant about this is what he's wanting. I'm just like, well, you got to go get it.
You got to get it.
I see it as like drift, like this water, right? It's just like you're catching that drift and now you have momentum moving. But I'm not expecting it to be forever. I'm not expecting like, okay, he got it. You know, I'm like, okay, he got it for, I don't know how long. I don't know how long this season's going to be. Well, we're going to have to figure out something else for him to be like, hey, come listen to Kobe. Like, this is what happened for him. Because Kobe said, listen, if you practice like kids play like twice a week and somebody plays every day, do you think in the, like from the time their season ends, because it ends like in what, like
June, no, well,
like the regular school. I'm talking about school, right?
February, first week of March.
Right. So like that season. After that, you have to decide you want to do AAU, all that kind of stuff. Then you have to wait
till November.
Yeah, to play. So imagine the person does even AAU, but it's like it's not every day. But now you go to like 24-hour fitness, a lifetime, and you play every single day.
Bro, you're definitely gonna see the results.
It's like, oh wow,
yeah, man. Quick too.
I jumped 7 inches in one summer.
I jumped 6 inches in 4 months.
So imagine that, right? Like you played and like, you're little, and then suddenly you come back and it's like
6 inches in 4 months.
What?
Bro.
What? He's 6'4"?
Yeah.
What happened to the 5'7"?
It happened to me my freshman season. I was, you know how back in the day, like you come out the tunnel to the cheerleaders as a freshman, and the shortest guy starts because you're finna throw the ball off the backboard, and then the tallest guy, and so everybody throws the ball off the backboard. Yeah. But then the tallest guy at the end lays it up, right? So in the same season on the same team, I started the line because I was the shortest. At the end of the season, I was the guy in the back.
That's crazy.
That was my freshman year.
Jeez,
my freshman year, I was the shortest on the team, and I ended the season, that same basketball, 3-4 months, I ended that season the tallest guy on the team.
It's like the eyes of the girls change. From a didn't see it to hold on, who is that now?
And here's the crazy thing, that actually did happen.
Yeah,
but here's the thing, you don't even know it because when you're an insecure boy, right? You biracial, you don't have your skinny. Right. Your cousins don't pick on you nonstop. They want to wrestle and slam you all the time. Like I'm still skinny. So I'm first time lifting weights. First time playing American football with pads. First time getting a height. First time my feet growing. Like it was like a lot of the first time. But then my friends started dissing me harder. And I was just, so we back then, we dissing, we cussing each other out with the diss. Like, this is Florida. Like, we don't, when they say stuff for bullying with kids in school, and I'm like, bro, if you would have been raised in the 90s, you would not survive. You would not survive, seriously. But one time I was over, God bless him, he's dead now, but Ernest Nichols' house, and there was just a group of us in the Shores. And the fellas, it was so weird how much banter I was getting at 9th grade that so crazy happened that all of them left to go play Nintendo, like in the room.
Right.
And I'm at somebody's house I don't really know. I'm not really ultra comfortable because they're not really like my friend like that. And there's 4 girls on the couch looking at me.
Like he's just like what?
Like I'm just like, so you know, I'm not confident, I'm not insecure, so I'm not gonna look them in the face. So I'm looking down, but you gotta glance up to see if they still looking at you, right? So I glance up and all 4 are looking at me. I was like, shoot. And so I look away again and I look up. And then I don't know what happened, what was said or what was exchanged, but a girl finally says, you know why they are dissing you so much, right? Because we all like you and none of us like them. And that is when, for the first time in my life,
my cheek got red.
My
cheek got red. My cheek got red.
No, but it was just because
it was darker.
It was just you don't know what's going on until other people really help you see it. The point I'm making is, come full circle, that was just an aha moment of me really seeing how other people receive me in a positive way or really knowing my true value. And it goes all the way to last 3 months ago. I didn't even feel good being a man until I went to South Africa. And the Zulu elder was like, Vusi. And when he finally was like, you're the anchor. He's like, you say you bring a calmness around people. You bring a sense of security around people. He said what's crazy is even though you bring that and you bring leadership and love, he said it's not going to be always felt and seen to you because an anchor is not always felt and seen. It's just we want to park, we want to feel safe, we want to stop here, drop the anchor. Right. And he was like, so you're going to be deep underneath the ocean and nobody is going to stop and recognize the anchor and talk about the anchor. But the only reason why everybody on this ship is stable and having fun in a space is because of the anchor that's actually holding it down. And he said, you got to feel the greatness of feeling unappreciated to understand the necessity of it. That was the first time I fully embraced feeling good as a man, even though I was never recognized for being a man. And from an intimate internals perspective with my wife and kids and the work that you're doing, it's because like you're so busy making sure people are straight that people forget that you're a human and you're still trying to hang on day to day. But it's like getting that from that Zulu elder who I don't know, but it's good to know God and it's good to have a degree and it's good to go to church. But it was something about him giving me a name and my name having meaning that hit me way harder than a speech of a sermon would. You know what I mean? And I didn't even understand 39 years old, like, why did I need that so much? But I cannot deny the fact that I needed it. Sure. You know what I mean? And so I just say all that to say, that's why I'm so committed to this work. That's why I'm so committed to these conversations. That's why I'm so committed to us being intentional about these spaces because I'm still needing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And people have said, oh, Crump, you this, Coach Crump. And I'm still needing affirmation, validation, confirmation from different sources at different times in different areas of my life. And so if I'm needing that, what about the brother that don't have a father, that never go to South Africa, that don't have a wife, that don't have kids, that don't have a 6-figure income, that don't have children?
Don't have that network. Yeah,
don't have a prayer line, don't have a support system, don't have a good, like-minded brothers around.
Doesn't have a good lineup, like you know what I'm talking about? Just say to some people.
It's just like, how can you possibly assume that another man, when I'm struggling with that, when I'm still in that, don't need that? Yeah. So I already know. This is the cool thing about it. I already know every single man needs it before I even ask him anything. That's why I go right there because you ain't even gotta, no icebreakers needed. No, I already know you're struggling. I already know you're suffering.
Some guys don't even know that they need it. Some guys are just living in that space where they're just oblivious to even what their needs are because maybe they're consumed by the struggle, maybe they're consumed by work, maybe they're consumed by everything else that's going on. It's only when you take time to pause and you're like, I really think I'm missing something. It's only when brothers, because when you're in the picture, as you know, in the picture, you can't see outside of it like they're in the frame. You know what I'm saying? So guys just need to tap into that, because like you said, the guys that don't have it don't even know that they need it.
I mean, it's that place of like, if you were to ask a guy, right, like, what is freedom to you? What is freedom to you in your body? Right? Is it I can lift, I can hold my wife. Right. Do you know how many men can't hold their wife? Yeah. Their wife can't come in just because maybe their wife put on a little bit more weight, they degressed in their muscle strength. They can't hold they cannot walk with their wife like this in their bedroom. Right. So that means you don't have freedom there. You can't run with your kid outside, you can't play. You don't have freedom in your body because your body cannot help you. You cannot go from here, grab your stuff, and move it upstairs because you're too weak. You don't have freedom in your body. Yeah. Yeah. Right? That means you're in bondage in your body.
Yeah, freedom checks a lot of boxes
right.
too.
So when you start to look at it like that, right? Yeah. Relationship, you have freedom in your relationship with your spouse. Yeah. Can you go and explain to her what intimacy means to you? Would that feel like, oh man, I don't know if I want to tell her this is what this is what I want to try. Right. If you can't, then you're not in freedom there. Not free, yeah. Can you go to God and be like, hey, I feel good with like what you call me to do? And for me, I told you, right? I was just like, okay, I said I was all in. And God said, hey, I'm gonna need you to reach out to Chris. And I was just like, what? Hold on, I don't know Chris like that. You know what I mean? Like our relationship is not like, I don't get it. Right. But I say I'm all in, so I'm like, okay. Hey, can you give me Chris's number? I'm like, okay, Chris, this don't sound weird, but listen, I said I was all in. God just told me like I need to reach out to you, once a month or more, just to check in on you. I don't know what that means, but hey, I told him I was all in, right? Because if I'm not, then I'm not in freedom. Sure. There, I'm still in bondage, questioning what he wants me to do because I think that
full submission.
I know better. Yeah. Like, well, I know you want me to go to Atlanta, but as you see, like I got this business, right? Yeah. I just started this. Or you don't have it inside of like your business. Right. Like how many guys do you know they're just like, oh yeah, Airbnb, right? Oh, I got so many. Yeah, man, I got 45 property, 45 doors. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. What does that mean? Does that mean like you gotta run like every single one?
You ain't free.
You're not free. Your liabilities are so high. You're actually not really making that much because you don't have a management company because you're like, I just want to keep as much. Myself. Right. So you technically in bondage for your business, but you got so many houses. This one you're upside down. This one you're good. So you can't fully like liquidate it on low because you're like, oh, so what am I gonna tell people? Like I went from 45 to like 12. They're like, man, you're good, man. What happened? Yeah. So you're in bondage in your body. You're in bondage in your relationship. You're in bondage in your business and with your relationship. So at that point, yes, of course you're gonna be there and you're gonna make decision to get out of one of them. Right? There's a guy that says like, to a starving man, every man is a stepping stone. Right. Yeah. Or to a drowning man, every man is a stepping stone. Because if I'm drowning and you're next to me, what is my first reaction? Save me. I'm gonna try to put my head on YouTube. Like it's not because I want you to go down. It's like I'm drowning. Yeah. And I'm trying to grab something. Right? So like once you evaluate that and you can see as a man, where do you have freedom? You might have freedom maybe in some place, right? You're good in your body. I'm good in my body. Cool. I say I'm all in with God and I'm doing what he's doing. Even if it doesn't make sense to me, cool, I got it. Okay, cool, our business, 7, check. My relationship with my wife, intimacy. Yeah. She said we don't connect. I'm like, what do you mean?
We connect almost every night.
Because it's this, right? Yeah, right? Yeah. But it's this, right?
Are we really connected?
And we're having a conversation last night about that. As a man, I need XYZ. Yeah. Okay? That's what I need. This is me, manhood. I need that. So what? I'm always gonna be like, okay, I'm not gonna come in and say like, okay, just do what you gotta do. Right. No. Yeah. Like it's your job to be wanted by your wife. Sure. Like no, you put the ring on it so that you're like, oh, they give me right. The Bible said submit to your husband. No.
Like Shannon was saying that yesterday. Like you think just because you show up.
Yeah. Exactly.
That guarantees something, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta do the work. You gotta do the little rub, the little kiss on the cheek, the little and then maybe if you did your job. Because the woman is just like you. She has the same feeling as you have. Yeah. We just get turned on like a lot faster.
Right. Ours is very different. But very
With that being said, man, this is the Boy Man King podcast.
We
shout out to Julien. Man, appreciate you joining us, man.
My guy.
Yeah, man, my boy Chizzy, and we went a little different this time because we just kind of want to be more in the space of man.
Yeah, more organic.
We have these conversations all the time, and going back to accepting the differences between men and women. Like I think that's the biggest thing. It's like sometimes, you know, I said a prayer to a brother this morning. I said he was heavy on my heart, and I sent him a voice note saying this. I said, bruh, I heard your heart yesterday. God told me to tell your wife you're in a season now where conflict and confrontation is an opportunity. Like whenever conflict and confrontation rises up in your spirit, you get excited because this is a chance for you to grow and mature and develop as a connector and a communicator. That's all God is saying is, bro, you're dope. Bro, you fly. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships in the covenant relationship space, those are different spaces.
Right.
You could be a great communicator to the public, to your boys, to your cousin them. But now when you're talking about spiritual discernment, interpersonal covenant relationships, there's a different dynamic and depth of discernment that you have to grow to even allow a space to happen that we can see conflict and we can feel confrontation and we can still be connected and we can still effectively communicate in the midst of that. Do you know what you have to go to and how you have to grow to get that to happen on a regular subconscious space? So I said, bro, you should embrace it because you're young in your marriage. You're a young man trying to do this thing. Don't run from it. Face it to fix it. And I think what you're talking about is like that dynamic of, okay, we have our needs, but a woman does too. And one thing that I evolved to is that my wife, you got to make love to her all day. So it's touching in the morning, is making the bed, it's doing my responsibilities that I'm supposed to do, is checking in with her periodically, is doing a temperature check, and then it's kind of guiding the distractions of the day, guiding the closeout of the day. Like I'm very intentional. Like I don't have a TV in my bedroom, never have in 21 years, right? Because my bedroom is a place of worship. So it's like, and my wife would tell you, like, soon as if I put on a t-shirt, she's like, why you got clothes on? We don't put clothes in our bed. Like everybody got to be in birthday suit.
Okay.
But it's important because you have to keep, if you don't, success is not an accident, success is intentional. If you're not deliberate about, you don't let stuff in your bedroom, man. You don't let the world inside your sanctum. You know what I mean? So it's like, and Dr. R.A. Vernon, shout out to him, he really taught me that about, do not put a TV in your bedroom. Do not let phones be scrolling nonstop. Like that stuff does not enter in. When you come in here, this is for us. Like my kids, though, I have French door. When the door is closed, kids don't even knock on it. Like there's nothing you need from mommy and daddy. It's over. Wait till tomorrow. You know what I mean? Now they're older, so they don't even, they're teenagers. So it's like, bruh, like you need mommy and daddy, you want mommy and daddy. When we go into our inner sanctum, we're off limits. Because we're the number one priority for this family, for it to work. And so for me, I had to grow and mature and develop in that space. And I understand I'm doing all of this and I'm reading all the books and I'm having no conversation with men. And men out there got TVs and clothes and like, man, what's going on? My girl tripping, man. You know what I'm saying? I worked all day. I worked a double shift. It's like women are wired differently, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to make love to them all day.
So what we getting some bars. We started off deep in conversation, right? Let's backtrack a little bit because you've been spending a lot of game. We've been having these conversations offline on your podcast. Let's explore my man Julien because we've been talking outside of the recording here, right? And you have an interesting story,
Crazy
from growing up in Europe. What that was like for you,
right?
No, in America,
Africa. Don't forget about the Congo,
right. In
I know he light skinned. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Team Light Skin. Kale's in the building. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's okay. It's okay, Derek. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk a little bit about your childhood, what that was like, where you were born, in Africa, of course.
Right.
What it was like being, because you covered a little bit about that, and you spoke a little bit about how your black friends see you to be white, quote unquote,
right,
and how your white friends see you to be black, and how that framed your perspective as a young man, and how you grew up in that space, man. So tell us a little bit about Julien as the boy, before you started that journey to man and kingship.
So I'm elected. No, it's funny because as we were coming here, we were saying that story with that black actor, I won't say Terry Crews, by the first name, but anyway, he was explaining like how he keeps this picture, has a little picture of him when he was 6 years old on his desk and in his pocket, and just as a reminder, right? Because he's looking at this little boy, he's 6 years old, he's missing his 2 front teeth, right? And he's looking at him, he's like, what would you tell that boy if that boy was here next to you?
Yeah.
Right? You just hug him, right? That boy that went to his dad and gave him his kiss and kissed his dad and got moved out the room. Like that little boy, like that's next to you. Like, what would you tell him? Like you would hug him. You would hug him. Feel like, hey man, you're a good boy. Like that, you're good.
Right.
And it's like whenever he was able to accept the fact that he is that little boy. He's that little boy, right? Those wounds that he has as a kid, if he didn't heal them, get him addressed, he was now that adult with that that now forms this new behavior, right? So for me, mixed, right? My dad, dad was white, mom was black. My mom's parents mixed.
Okay.
So that means like we were going back to like when Europe came to Africa to, take, to colonize, come in, also take, send, like that time, right? So their parents was kind of like in that space. And so for me, growing up as kind of like that mixed kid, right? We talk about like, like cruel jokes, just hard jokes.
Yeah.
People like think I'm playing when I say like, oh, you making it up? Like, no, I'm not. Like when I tell like, my black friends tell me I'm white, my white friends will tell me I'm black, right? And then we have those little jokes whenever you go back and forth, but then you keep on pushing to see that what moment are we crossing that line, right? And it was a moment when we were just talking, it was just like, if you all go back to their country, right? Like black people, you guys would just you'll go to Africa. Like white people, you go to Europe, but like you mixed kid, you guys will go in the ocean because you don't really have a country. You just mixed.
Yeah.
You're not this and you're not that, right? And by the way, you already know. Like, oh what? Like you know what I mean? Like you're going right because that was like my behavior was like you disrespect me long enough. I have a clear line once crossed, I go. I'm in areas like I will go first and then think about how can I fix this? Right? So it's like that place of like, feeling that. So like you build this kind of like wall of like, okay, cool. So I'm going to lie to make sure that I can navigate this so I don't have to get to this place. I'm going to fight if you disrespect me because it's again that line. And then I'm gonna have the little ego where I'm gonna walk in. That's why you see a lot of time like mixed people. Or in the United States, it became, you light skinned. It's like, hold up, you're not black or white, like you just light skinned.
These are real feelings, and of course, both of my parents are black, for instance. So to hear brothers contextualize their upbringing based on mixed race parents, it's foreign to people like myself who don't know what that feels like.
And it's black, and in a black colloquialism, culturally, from a Western perspective. People always assume that I like the way I look. Like dark black, like culturally, dark skinned people will assume that I like the way I look when I hated it. Yeah. Because and you gotta think about it. My difference was he had white and black. He said that white people, like I only hung around black people and they all was 5'9", wide nose, dark skin. So it's like you're the one dude who are distinctly different from every single person in your family. And I was always reminded. So it was like, I hated to even address me. You know what I mean? Because it was always like, I was different. You know what I mean? So you carried, like he said, if anybody try to justify that I'm not who I am by testing my mixed race, I pop off.
It's funny because growing up in Bermuda, obviously I've been to Bermuda before, you kind of have an understanding of this. There was a definite color separation, obviously between blacks and whites, but there's a color separation between the darker skinned Bermudians and the lighter skinned Bermudians.
Colorism is real as heck.
And it's probably, obviously it's not specific to Bermuda, but for me, it became apparent when I have my children who are light skinned with light eyes. Their mom is black. My grandmother's mixed as well. But I saw the other side of my family treat my kids who are lighter skinned different from their cousins who are darker skinned. You know what I'm saying? So they were favorites. My kids were favorited over their darker skinned cousins.
Right.
And some of those conversations between them was interesting to hear because they felt that at a young age, where the darker skinned kids started to, feel ostracized and feel like they're less than because my kids were lighter skinned. So that's an interesting dynamic.
I mean, you think of it like whenever it happens, like when it happened to have the mixed people. I'm not gonna say that when it started, but like whatever slave was there, the slavery is like because she got raped.
Right. You became the house nigga, as they talk about it. Pardon the expression. You know
right.
What I mean?
Like you have that portion, or like whenever the Europeans came to Africa, and it's just like either they just like rape, or they just decided. My grandpa decided he loved my grandma, was black. He come from a village where there's just a lot of white people, and he brought her to his village where they were like, hold up. We've only seen white, and now there's this,
What is
there's
it?
this,
Yeah.
there's this. Like, what are all
What
those
is
new
this?
shades?
Yeah,
We talk about
yeah.
people that never leave their little, never leave their little village. And suddenly you bring those, all in my family, like 6'8", 6'7", 6'6". We're talking about, we're bringing some tall, dark people into this village, right? And so you have to go and decide. Are you going to let people just push you down, or are you going to protect yourself? And a lot of times, like, I'm going to protection mode.
Right.
And so I'm curious because I know in the Black colloquialism, colorism is so real, even if you go to other countries, as you are speaking of as well, even going to islands. Jake, but in white culture, is that a thing, or you just white? Like, because I'm ignorant to it.
We have white and gingers. So the redheaded people, we just call ginger. Like there is no like light skin, dark skin.
But is there a distinct way you treat them in your culture? Like, is it a difference of how you treat people? No. Yeah, because like in Black culture, it's in Black culture, it's a real thing.
First of all, Jake is very strong. He would not know nobody's gonna mess with Jake differently. He'll be like, hold on, okay, no, the same, Jake, the same.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
No, but I'm just saying, like, in our culture, it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you, like you said, I wonder how strong it is. I wonder how much you remember in Congo when it comes to this. But I know when I had visited DR, like, light-skinned people are white. Yeah. Like, it was like weird. And I was like, it's like, oh, you a white boy. I'm like, what? And then I started talking to a local. You a white boy? Oh, he's a white boy. I'm like, what do you mean? So like, even in these other islands, like, that colorism thing is real. So in Congo, like you said, man, your grandfather brought your grandmother to a village, but y'all tall. In Belgium.
Yeah, so he took it from Africa to Belgium.
Africa to Belgium.
Jeez.
Because he was one of the colonies. Like, he came into when, it was part of that.
Oh, he was part of colonizing Congo.
He just loved her.
But he actually loved your grandmother.
Yeah. Okay.
And he came in. They ended up having 9 kids. Actually, they had more, but it's like they were part of that thing where it's just like, I forgot this religion where it's just like you deliver your kid.
What you mean you say?
It's like inside Christianity, there's a group that just like kind of really believes in this thing of like taking care of your own, like you don't need to use medicine and all that kind of stuff, right? And so like they would deliver their own babies, like they would not go to the hospital. Like my grandma, like until she lost something. Sometimes she said she didn't even know she was pregnant. I'm like, how? How does that? Does that work? But again, this is like it's way out there. But to me, I was just like, yes, you see that, and there is. And for them, it's like, how you gonna? A black dude from Africa that see you light skin, for him it's just like there's no light skin, you're either over there or you're over here. And so you white.
Right.
And then look at your hair. Your hair's not like my hair. You white. But the white person will be like, look at my.
That's a crazy
you're not.
identity.
So you're black, and you're like, what in the world? And I wanted to pick a side. But I remember my mom saying like, and she was like so good with that because I was like, I want to say I'm black. Like I want to say I'm black.
Because I was gonna ask you, have every right to pick a side, like you said, like.
But you can't.
You can't, right? Yeah,
because you pick a side, that means I'm telling the side of my grandpa is white. Like, are you guys less than? Sure. Well, I'm telling the side of my grandma, oh, you guys are less than. Right? She's like, no, you mixed. Yeah. There's beauty in mixed heritage.
100%.
Because at the end of it, it's like we all mix heritage. Like it's rare that somebody's like bloodline. Right. You know what I mean? And also because like, and again, some people might just disagree, but it's like you're looking at it in terms of like dogs and breed, right? Which one is more valuable when you're looking at dogs?
Pure breed.
Right. That has a certificate. That can show the lineage. That can validate that. Yeah. The other one is a mud. It's not as valuable. So you can look at this like this is the only model that you have of diversity of mixed heritage. Versus like, no, how you make a recipe? How you make something beautiful? How do you make this? You have to mix. Because any element separated does not really do as much as like whenever you know the right way to put it together, and that creates this thing that is, that's why I joked and I said like, my mom had to like play with us like, you mix, you got the best of both. You got the smart and you got the strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You're fast and you know how to do it.
But that's a retrospective, post experience. As a kid, there's some real challenges that come with
I wasn't processing all the greatness of being mixed when
I wasn't
like,
either. I'm just saying she was planting those seeds. Doesn't mean that those seeds produce the fruit.
But the seed that's an anomaly because the seed that's planted is that you're different and something's wrong with you.
That's one of them.
Yeah. No.
It could be.
I'm just saying like in general experiences and even with other mixed people, like we've adopted and raised, my family adopted and had foster kids that was mixed. Like there's a lot of trauma in processing who you are
100%.
when you're a mixed child and you're a mixed race. Is you don't know where, you know what I mean? You don't know what that means. So you don't really know. So the byproduct of that, you don't know who you are. So
it's your identity.
You going from Congo, you going to Belgium, you going to America, you being mixed with, as mixed parents, and you're mixed.
And my wife is white.
Yeah, and your wife.
And
your wife is
I'm
white.
married to white, you know.
Yeah.
And
in the South.
In the South. In the South.
And did you guys go to Jackson?
Yeah, Mississippi. That's
What?
I'm like, people ask me like,
They
well,
don't get more subs.
Why? Look, they say there's different big events that you can do in your life, right? You get married, that's 1. You have a baby, that's 2. You move, that's 3. You buy a car, that's 4.
Yeah.
Like those are big events in your life.
Right.
And they say in order to keep stress down, you should avoid doing any combination of the 4 together.
At the same time,
right?
yeah.
I was like, we got baby number 6. We moved. We bought 2 cars, right? And we bought a new house.
Yeah.
Like all that is because like we always, my wife and I, we like, we have 6 kids, right? 6 kids, married 14 years, business together for 10. Like my life has never been just normal. And sometimes like we don't appreciate.
But what is normal? Like, you know what I mean?
Right, because I moved my whole life.
Yeah,
like 12 years old in Africa, I moved like 3 or 4 times.
And that's all normal for you.
Right. Then I moved to Belgium to like 18. We moved 3 or 4 times. Then I told you, right? At 14 years old, I wanted to come to the U.S. I played basketball. I was just like, hey, can I just go now?
Right.
I want the high school basketball experience in the U.S. Can I just go now? Because
So you hated Belgium then.
I didn't like the weather, didn't like the mentality, right? Just like it's the whole thing about like I don't want to work hard or I want to enjoy vacation. I want that really work-life balance. And I'm just naturally an achiever. Like I just want to do more. I believe God called me to do more. And so my biggest fear is that, the parable of the talent, right? I'm afraid to be number 1. I'm afraid to be that person that just said, because I was afraid, right? So sometimes I feel like I'm gonna go and reach out because I'm like, I refuse to live with the fear of like what it would have been.
Right.
I'm like, when I decided to play basketball, I was all in. I said, my circle is gonna be those that want to also go to the US and also play in the NBA. If you're not in that circle,
That's important. That's a good bar though.
right. But as you go up, it goes like this.
Yeah.
And it goes like this, that circle is smaller. And I remember my cousin telling me that. And he was just like, hey, you have to be okay knowing that the people that you're starting with it's okay.
Yeah, it's called life, and I think that's important for everybody to know. Like, you have to make a decision on where you're going,
Right.
and what people don't realize, whenever you make a decision on where you're going in life,
That's good. We know people.
and not only that, as you're going, the people are going to meet you who are on that journey together.
Yeah.
Like they're just going on that timeline. They're heading in the same direction, but y'all just going to hit in year 18 months. You know what I mean? And you just gonna have the aha, like, you're one of the ones that's heading in my same direction. Like, that's the one. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's so hard for you in the moment to process. Man, nobody's supporting me. I need to, like, no. You make a decision. You start heading down that track, and you have to accept people that you do not know, that you never met before in your life, are going to meet you along the way, and they have better alignment and synergy. And even though they're meeting you, none of them are not going to stick forever. You know what I mean? They're going to have their time and season where they needed to help you get to another place. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The crazy thing, and I got that a couple, probably like a month ago or so, because you start to look, the whole thing about Steve Jobs, like you can't see how things connect until you look backwards, so you can connect all the dots, like that. Yeah. And I was looking at kind of the journey, how you and I got connected, how I connected with Jay, and looking at that whole season, and it also happened, Jay and Brian, all that kind of stuff. I was like, my birthday's the 28th. It's March 28th.
Yeah.
That's when he lost a brother.
Yeah.
And for me, I had put that date as my date of like, this is what I'm stepping into, this new journey. Right? And I told him, I was just like, I didn't even know who you were. I just felt the pool. And it's only later I was just like, oh man, like you can either believe in just how things are connected or not believe how things are connected. But for me, it's just like, I felt like it's just, I don't know why, but like I feel a pull. I don't know what you've done, you know what I mean? And then that's how I got connected with you. And then that's how I built like my foundation, because I had that piece that when at one point God told me like, hey, I need you to go and be fishers of men. I was like, oh, hold up. I am not about to be a pastor. Do not, you know what I mean? Because that was my motto.
Yeah.
That was my motto. I was just like, oh, the only way to do ministry is like, you got to be a pastor. You got to just talk about God, And for me, in Europe, it's just like, this is not really what you do. You just go and be like, oh, God. that's what like people in the US coming in, you know, those basketball guys are like, oh, this is part of our ministry. We're going to Europe, play basketball, but really, we're trying to talk about God. So we already knew, like, we knew the game. They're going to give us some basketball game, and then they're going to, did you know about Jesus?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So you're like, I will take both so that I can actually get.
So how does somebody play from Africa, go to Belgium, get to the States, get with your wife, go to Jackson, Mississippi with a white woman? I don't know what's going on right now. And then you end up be married, have kids, and all of a sudden you have a dance studio for 500 kids and all. Like how does the morphing is steady just going, right? So help us.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing has always been like, whenever I told God, and I told God I was all in a couple of times, right? When I would play basketball, I was like, you know, you're a shooter, so you already know that. Like, and if you're a good shooter, you just put work.
Yeah.
I'm before practice, I'm after practice.
His kind of a shooter. Let's just put it. His kind of a shooter. But anyway, yeah, sorry, I digress. My bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
Look, you just put the work. You put the work.
Yeah.
And you put more work than people that are naturally like gifted as like dunkers and all that kind of stuff. It's like you just put the work. And so I put so much work, and then you sometimes get to a place where like the results are not coming. What you used to do and like you can do is like it's just not happening in the game. You're like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting the work. I'm like, I don't understand. Right? So for me, I remember having that moment, and I just like got on my knees and I cried. I was just like, okay, guys, like, listen, I've just been trying to do this by myself. Like I literally am. Like I'm waking up early. I'm putting in the work. I'm going to school. I don't go party. I don't go drink. I'm like, I'm doing the work, but I'm not. Like I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
And if you're a shooter, it's just like you already know. Like you gotta make it. If you don't make it and you miss 3 or 4, the coach gonna be like, okay, I just need you. Because I'm gonna keep on shooting. I'm a shooter. Like I shoot.
Yeah.
But I'm a shooter that keeps on shooting because I believe like if I miss 3, I have to shoot 3 more so I can be at 50. If I miss 3 more, I gotta shoot 6 more. You know what I mean? And so I got that way. Like, okay, I just need you to go ahead. It's just like I'm leaving it to you, right? And that game I had 7 for 7. So 7 out of 7 threes made. And then, you know, I had a game winner. I think I ended up with like 25 points. And I didn't know, I was just like, oh my God. And somebody came to me because I went to Christian University, was like, oh my God, completion. It's a number of completion. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, it's like, it's 7. It's like, it's a biblical number.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you can pick
So
something as a message, like 7. So for me, like at that moment, I knew it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep on going with like, what is the pool that I have? I'm not going to judge it. Again, I'm an Aries, so I'm just like, I'm impulsive. I can just go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if the wrong direction, guess what? I'll go back and I turn and I go the other way. Like I'm not going to analyze this for too long. Like I'm just going to go wrong boom. So I'm moving, you know? So he told me to my wife, he's like, hey, we're kind of friends. And I'm like, I need you to be there for her because she had lost her mom.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need you to be there for her. So as an Aries does, I'm like, I'm going to be there for you. And if I say I'm going to be there, that means I'm going to be there.
For sure.
That means every day, like class starts, dorm, I'm here. We're going to class. And then our class is over, boom, I'm there.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
her mom, help us with context, her mom passed away while you guys was in college?
Yes. So we're like friends and stuff because, you know, I need a car, right?
Yeah.
And so
you guys are officially not, are you dating? Like
we start dating at the end.
Okay. So you're just friends?
We're just friends, like 100% friends.
So
just
as a guy friend,
with the
I'm
zero.
I'll be here for you, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
0. There was like literally 0 because it was my friends. I was telling her like how I was gonna get this girl. Like literally on top of right. So she knew more about me.
Right.
She knew a lot more about me.
She was on the inside.
And that's how
she thought it was
that's
working you the whole
relationship
time.
start for
You got
sure.
finessed.
Yeah, maybe I did.
No,
I
you
always
did.
joke
You
with
did see
her
the play.
because she's like, "Well, you use me. You use me for the car." I'm like, "I'm just using me for good company." You know, like we're just playing. But that's kind of like her world was dance.
Oh, okay. There we go. Connected that.
Yeah, because I was saying, how we get into
Her world,
dance?
yeah, her world was dance, but she's a high C, you know, Pisces. So it's like, you know, she has that kind of place, and I'm like, let's do it. So what I did is like, God told me, hey, I need you to go and leave corporate, right? Like, go out, launch to the deep, cast down your nets, they'll be full. We started the business, but then I got the shiny outcome, right? Syndrome. I go over there, I'm like, oh, starting the podcast. This is 2015. Right. This is, you know anything about the history of podcasting? This is when it starts to go like this. Yeah. Where the hockey sticks start to go, and I'm like, I'm going in, I'm getting like amazing couple, like great guests, like Al Elrod from Miracle, you know, the Miracle Morning. I get John Lee Dumas, that's like #1, like EO Fire, you know, and I get big names like in a row, and I'm releasing. And so I rank #4 in the business category during those, you know, that 8 weeks. Like, I'm like, nah, my ego is like, right? Yeah. And my wife is like, hey, how are you gonna make money?
That part.
because you just left the W-2 and we have 3 kids. And my ego's like, I'm gonna figure it out. I see it online. You can make money like this. Didn't know anything. But my ego was still I don't want you to come and tell me how to do this because you got no business. You don't know anything about e-commerce.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about e-commerce.
How that ego get checked?
Oh yeah, because the ego protected me when I was like a kid.
Right.
Because that's what got me to be on a national team.
Yeah.
Because I had the ego to show up and be like, I'm gonna make it. You might be 6'8", and I'm like 6'2", and I'm still gonna do it. Right, that ego. But as an adult now, that ego is hurting you because you're not willing to admit like I can't stay organized. Right. I'm too like emotional inside of like that game, and then my ego is struck because I'm number 4 now, and CEOs are reaching out, PR agencies are reaching out, and then my wife is like, I remember she comes in and she's like, hey, I'm editing a podcast episode, and she said, hey, did you pay the water bill? And I look, I don't even turn around. I look at my shoulder, I'm like, what do you? Yeah. Well, the water is off. What are you talking about? The water is off. I'm like, okay, let me check. And I check, and I'm like, oh, why it hasn't been paid? Like, what the heck? And I go on the account, I'm like, oh, -200, personal account. Because it's auto, right? Recurring.
Yeah.
But I didn't budget. Then I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Distribution. I'm gonna grab this money from this business account. I'm gonna send it real quick. I'm gonna take care of that. -200. It was like -2, -4. They were like, hi. I stopped for a second, like, how is our personal bank account -2 and our business -4? Obviously, there's a lot of things that happen at that time with like, banks, whenever they're also stacking up your expenses. Remember, if you remember that, it was just like, they know how they can get you to overdraw. Like you might make 10 transactions inside of like a week, but they're going to rearrange them in order for you to hit those, those insufficient funds. Yeah. So, but once you hit them, it's like literally up to that. Every single transaction is like $45 fee, $45 fee, $45 fee. So you got played there, but either way, I got a place of like, there's no money. I'm still from overseas, therefore I don't have a huge credit.
Right.
I don't have any collateral. We just bought our first home. We have no money left because we just bought our first home. The only thing we have is the fact that this house now has $41,000 in equity.
So how do you
leverage that?
Yeah.
I wanted to borrow money.
Okay.
I was like, we're borrowing money. We're not selling a house that we got in our early 20s.
Right.
Again, ego. How am I going to tell people this song is like, oh my God, like, congratulations, man. Like, how you buy a house? Like, you just doing it. Podcast number 4. He got a house. He has 3 kids. He's in shape because I never left that, right? Doing it. And it's just like, my wife's like, no, we're not. I don't want to borrow money. My wife always has this thing with borrowing money. She's like, we're selling the house. My family's like, no, don't sell the house. You guys got a great deal. You're never going to get a house like this. 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, under $130,000. Like, never you're going to get that again.
Right, yeah.
But I'm like, I went with my wife. I'm like, I got you. So we sell and we have like $41,000. You trying to look for places to live? They're like, oh, hey, you have a W-2? You have a pay stub? Well, see, I'm an entrepreneur. And like, we kind of do a distribution. Oh, so you can't show that you make money.
Right.
No. Sorry. So we go, no. So we have to do is like take $21,100 out of that money to give to a landlord to pay for a year up front.
Yeah.
And we have 18 left, and it was just like, my mentor told me, he's like, listen, you need to focus on the one thing, which is your brick and mortar, and you need to put down the podcast, the speaking, the coaching, all that. And that was like the fire. Like I literally felt like the fire inside to do that because I felt like this is what I meant to do. Like I just, the energy, the impact. I remember somebody in the conference said, who is that? They've never seen me, but they heard my voice on the podcast. And they were like, oh my gosh, I listened to your podcast. And it's because they heard the voice, they recognized the voice, and they were literally trying to like find the voice inside of like the crowd. And so we put that inside, and in that year, the business went from like 125 students to 250, the year after that to 300, after that to 350, after that to like it just, but it was not really that fulfillment inside of it. And I still had bondage inside of kind of my relationship with my kids, with her, because at that point I just went into provide mode. I messed up. I got to fix. And I don't know how long it's going to take to fix the trust because she's always said like, I trusted you. You said God called you to do this. You did it, but you didn't do it. And so you know that, the shame that you have of like, I failed my family.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you go back into the emotion of like shame, of disappointment. And if you're an achiever, that is like, I think Kobe talks about that. It's just like accepting that I failed is like, it's like death. So I'd rather say that I just learned, then I failed.
So I hear, you done dropped about 5 Kobe references.
My man.
Yeah, and but as you get to this stage of your life and your journey, man, you've been through all of that. You got the vision. Now you in this different space.
Right.
Now that where you are now, what does your kingship look like? Like you showed us where you're a boy, the interest that you showed us all of these phases you was going through as a man. But now you're in a different space. You made intentional relationships this last year. You made some decisions about your life this last year. Where is this going for you? And
I mean, it's going to the mission, right? Like we talked about that. It's just like it's not you enter kingship sometime by default. Like I said, like people get that evolution. Like you're gonna have a kingdom as soon as you get kids. Like whether you're living on somebody else's kingdom, on a borrowed kingdom, because you still don't own your house, you know what I mean? Like you're renting, it's still your space. But every king is not a free man because you're still in bondage in so many places. Yeah. And so for me, I felt that pull to just go in just because I've seen so many men in like crazy bondage, crazy struggle. Like people that are not afraid to tell like the real thing, what's really happening. Not like the sedated, hidden, posturing. I mean, my business makes so much. Yeah, but you're like your kid, like your wife doesn't want to talk to you.
Right. Your kids
like, you haven't made love with your wife in like 3 months. Like 3 months?
dang.
Like, and you, how? Like, I know this is stress relief strategy, so like you must be doing like something.
And it, it's crazy when you talk about that. I want you to finish, but this is where it's such a disconnect between men and women because we both evolved and we both didn't catch the evolution.
Yeah.
So like me getting my rocks off was my 20s, but I'm a grown man now who needs pampering and caressing and comforting and like deep intimacy. Like that's not something I like. I'm not trying to flex. I don't want to go to an event. I need you just to want to do that on a regular basis because I'm your husband. Like that is a need, not something that's special, right? Everything else is for the birds. You know what I mean? And so I didn't do a good job. Matter of fact, I did a terrible job at communicating that.
Right.
Well, before, got my wife, get my rocks off. I gotta go to work. I gotta go build this. But once you get the house, once you get the wife, once you get the kids, once you've been doing it for 20 years plus, I'm tired. I don't have the same energy level. I don't have the same desires. But I didn't articulate that well. And I wasn't listening well to her evolution to understand the pivots I needed to do. That the same type of love I was giving her in 2008 and 2014 and 2018 looks really different in 2023, right? Now, the message is the same, but the method has to address the need. That's why I say we confuse sometimes intent with interpretation. Like, yes, I got the intention of love and so, but it's not being interpreted, right? Which is hella frustrating. So when you're doing this and you're going through this, like as you're developing this in your kingship, like what do you hope that people take away? Because you keep going to this freedom with men a lot.
Yeah, before I go there, my wife and I start going to this, was like, does this make you feel loved? Does this make you feel loved? Hey, me taking the trash out, does that make you feel loved? Or is it just a duty? Like, no, you just do it. You just act of service. Right. Because what I think is like, oh, this makes her feel loved, does not make her feel loved. So just communication. I'm like, there's no judgment. You just let me know. Does this make you feel loved? Hey, me just like doing this. Does this make you feel loved? For you, like, I just want to be touched and caressed. Like that. Just like I just need this.
Need it.
Makes me feel loved. Right? And so like we're big there because like I want you to feel loved. Like I do. You just tell me what makes you feel loved so I can do it. My wife has this thing where it's like hers quality time. Like quality time is a very tricky thing because quality time is not quantity of time. Is quality of time, which means can be. It can be anything. I have 6 kids. That is like you are moving quality of time so high in how challenging it is to be able to exercise that.
And that's where that communication piece is super important.
Yes.
So with 6 kids and her love and her biggest need to feel love right now is quality time in your kingship. How do you practically do that?
Yeah. So we have a couple of things that we do, right? And again, the way I set up goals now, I set up goals in kind of those 4 domains, right? Which is like my body. I have goals every year on my body. Like this year, like with my mastermind group, they know it's like under 10% body fat. Like that's one, right? And I have.
How old are you?
37 on the 28.
I want you to have that same energy at 40 plus. I want you to have the same.
Oh, 100%. But let me tell you the reason why I picked that number. I picked that number because of energy level. I didn't pick that number because of ego and I want to be cut and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, because I know that it's going to require different decisions. That's why we do intermittent fasting. I'm giving myself a framework. I can't just eat till like 10, 11 because I'm an adult. I'm like, who's going to tell me I can't eat?
Right.
I want ice cream. I'll work out. Right? No, it's because I know that in the order to get to under 10% body fat, it just requires a different mindset.
More discipline.
More discipline. It requires, and at that point, I'm raising the standard inside of my family.
Right.
Because your boys always look what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
Right? So they understand that. So what I started doing is like, so, you know, body being balanced in business. That's kind of those goals. For my relationship with my wife, we have weekly date night, or we start doing like day because it's easier for us to be entrepreneur. Like we can do something during the day, weekly, monthly overnight. We're gonna find a place where we're gonna just, you know, go. Right. This past one, like we want to do a tent. It didn't happen, so we went to the same hotel that we got married. That same type of room, corner room, right? Then we do a quarterly out of state. That means quarterly we're gonna go outside of Texas, and a yearly out of the country.
Okay.
That's a whole lot of day nights if you to count them, right?
Yeah,
Being people that just like do.
And that's not something that you just have a strategy. That's something that you guys agreed to do together.
Yes, because she's important. Quality time is important to her, and this is quality time away from the kids.
So this is something that she's agreed to
Yes.
as well. Because let me tell you what I asked, because I be having so many ideas and I don't articulate them well to my wife all the time. And I'm doing stuff that she don't really understand why I'm doing them when I did not clearly communicate and have an agreement with her of what I'm doing, even though it's in the interest and intent for us to be blessed by it. It's like, I didn't know. I'm like, how you didn't know? Because you know I'm trying to, like, no, you didn't say nothing. It's like, oh, yeah. So I'm like, I'm glad to hear that you're like, no. I didn't just hear her quality time and come up with something to give quality time. I confirmed it with her that this is what quality time looks like for her, and she's okay with it.
Because I was not in freedom. I was in bondage there. I'm like, oh, you're in bondage there because like you don't have intimacy with your wife. How do you have intimacy with your wife? Oh, she does quality time. How do you get quality time? How do you get the freedom inside of it? It's quality time. So how do you do that? I'm disciplined. The people they know me, like I'm overly disciplined. I'm disciplined. If I say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And if you say you're gonna do it with me, I'm gonna keep you accountable. You might not like that person of me that's gonna be like, you said, I'm gonna get mad. Right. If we agree to do something at this time, I'm doing it and you better do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna give you a pass, and then I'm just gonna be like, okay, I can't have you because you just don't. Like, just, you know what I mean? But I have to understand that this season of life, because I was too extreme like that, because it allowed me to play basketball at a high level, I was just too extreme. I remember that they said, hey, if you're that way with your wife because you're that way with you. So if you have to be gentle with her, because you see, like, I'm moving my hands, my face, I get animated, like, there's a lot of energy, and I remember I'm 6'2", like, I have some energy. My wife is 6'4", 5'4", I have some energy, right? I have to remember, it's like I'm too intense. And there's so much of this on her, on my kids, because I have intensity, not because of the aggression, because I'm passionate about it, because I love you too much for you to not work out if you say you're gonna work out. Just do it. We said we're gonna do it. Come on, let's go. And I was like, no. You have to be gentle with her. In order to be gentle with her, you have to be gentle with you.
Right.
I used to wake up every day at 4 a.m., like clock. I didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. I just knew that in order for me to have my me time, I can't do it at night because that's going to be with my wife.
Right.
I can't do it during the day because I got to work.
Yeah, you talk a lot about that.
But I know me, like I know I need to work out. I know I need my me time. I know I need my hour of thinking, right? Every day I take an hour of think time. Like I sit, I'm there. This is where I meditate. This is where I pray. This is literally where I ask God's question. I grab a piece of paper, I have a remarkable, I grab it, split into 4. Top right says to do, top left it says Q for question, bottom right is like WTF. This is like all angers, things that I'm pissed off about. And bottom left it says ideas. And I just sit. And I have like just meditation music playing, and I'm just there. And I just repeat sometimes words. Like for me, the word that I have that is a power word is radiate. I want to step in a place and I want you to feel a change of energy. I feel when I come in, like I literally view myself as energy. I come in and I just radiate. Like you just feel that, right? So I'm repeating that word because for me, that's the power word for me. And then my mind just goes right away. Clockwork is gonna go all that you do, all the unclosed loop. I'll remember if I owe $20 to somebody. It's just your mind is like that. It's,
Right.
you know, I just
don't.
then I don't have anything to write.
Yeah.
And then I might get a question for God. I'm like, huh? And I know for me, I know that because I always say God speaks to me through me. I know it's God because as I'm writing the question, I have the answer that comes. Like I finished writing the question, the answer is there. And like literally, I just and I can troubleshoot. And that's what came in. It's like I need to reach out to Chris. And I was like, why? It's like, why are you asking? I thought you were all in. Like literally, I was just like, okay. You're right. I did say I was all in. So I'm going to do it. You know, but I do that and I can't do it like way in the night because I can't do it during the day because, you know, I want to do breakfast with my wife. So I have to do it in that gap. But for somebody that does this and then you come home, you go to sleep at 11:30, it is not sustainable. Right? I start clocking in like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and I work out every single day. And I don't do just like, no, I do HIIT, like I do that crazy stuff. I do ball push-up, pull-ups, L-shaped pull-ups. Like, you know what I mean? I do things that tax your body, do HIIT workouts. And so eventually like your body starts to break down. It just naturally, you can take all the supplements you want. Your eyes start to be red all the time. Your voice started to change a little bit because you don't get the proper sleep. And you start to like fall asleep like when the kids come back from school. Like, you know that? You want to participate, but it's like, oh. And when you go down, you go down.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to do that, and I know my wife needed it. And in my head, the only thing I could go for is just like, man, it's going to be expensive. And who is going to watch that many kids?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Julien, you're getting excuses. Because the Julien that I know, he's going to find a way because he always found a way.
Right.
He found a way to go and get on this national team. He found a way to go and refound a host family. At one point, my host family was trying to kick me out. I'm like, nobody's kicking me out. I'm finding another house. I'm out. Pack my stuff. And I went to one of my teammates, slept on the couch, then get to somebody else. I'm like, no, you know. You just don't want to do the work. And so finally I was able. I got somebody like, hey, we can trade date night. Because I do that. You guys got to do that for your marriage too.
Yeah, sure.
You got to do
our kids, we take your little swap.
Yeah, like I don't have to. Everything is not about like, can you just throw money at a problem? It's like, no, like raise people.
Be resourceful, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we did.
Man, shout out to the executor, man.
My goodness.
You radiated on this podcast, the game, those last two practical tips you gave, both for people who are in relationships that have children, but also how you have that hour with God. That's for everybody. I mean, thank you, man. Thank you on behalf of Boy Man King. Just coming in, blessing us with your presence, man. Follow Julien Marion online, man. You got to do some amazing work out of the Dallas area, right? Houston area.
Don't be messing with Texas.
So, man,
hey, man, appreciate you, man.
We really appreciate you, man. Great job. And again, man, it's the Boy Man King podcast. Shout out to you. Bless.